Hey, welcome to the next episode of Life-Changing Challengers, and we're very lucky today to have Wynne Charles with us today. Hey, Wynne.
Hi, how are you guys?
Oh, I'm sure everybody's doing better now that they get to see you.
Oh,
So Wynne is an author. She has two books out, right? She has I, Wynne, and the
a novel, The View from My Hills.
and The View from the Hills. She's also a motivational speaker. And very close to my heart, she is an Ironman. She competed in the Kona Ironman. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even heard this story yet. So we're going to get to that as well, because obviously that's my bread and butter. But Wynne, so good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you grew up, where you grew up, what was the complement of your family, and kind of the story of how you grew up?
Okay, Brad. First of all, I'm stealing that number one question for my podcast because I like the way you say that. Second of all, I located right now in lovely Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, we get the heat in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, but that's only in the summer. And hence, the reason why I moved down to Phoenix, Arizona is because I grew up in cold and more cold Aspen, Colorado, which was beautiful, mind you, only child with a disability. And you can only imagine using excessive devices in the snow. Thank you very much. Not good. And so I lost my dad when I was 32, going on 33, 1 month before my 33rd birthday. And then I lost my mom in 2010 when I was 23. And so technically, I am an orphan, but I don't see myself like that. And hence, the reason for the move in Phoenix to Phoenix, Arizona is because even though Colorado's great for triathlon training for triathletes, it's not so great to live, and it's not so great to function, especially in the winter. Summers are beautiful, but summers, they only last so on. So it's not so great to be functioning, especially with a disability, in Aspen. And Aspen is, just Google the word Aspen, Colorado. You'll find it. And you'll see that Aspen is a playground of the legend famous. And the locals are being kicked out of Aspen, Colorado, because Colorado is so expensive. Colorado was expensive before the uptick in the cost of living.
Wow. So you left. When did you actually make the move?
I made the move of March of 2020.
Okay. So you've been in Phoenix a couple of years.
During the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what was a day like growing up? Just to give everybody a sense of what a day in the life of a child with the parents is when you have a disability like cerebral palsy.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is going to make me cry, and I apologize right now if you need to pull the tissues out, or if I need to pull the tissues out, but I can cry, not cry. But my mom was a champion of disabilities because before she had me, she had 8 miscarriages. So I'm a natural baby in more ways than one. And she had struggles even having me. I was born at 27 weeks, 1 pound, 13 ounces. And people fail to forget that she had asthma on top of having me on top. So she was pregnant with asthma, goes into labor, which whereupon they thought she was having Braxton Hicks, which Braxton Hicks and false labor. And so they thought she was having Braxton Hicks. Turns out she was going into a full-fledged labor with me, and this was June 22nd. And so they raced her to the hospital. She had a C-section, lands up getting pneumonia after that C-section, and I have to be airlifted out to a children's hospital in Denver, Colorado, whereupon they diagnosed me with cerebral palsy, whereupon my brain freaks out enough to have a brain bleed, a TBI, on top of cerebral palsy. And I don't talk about my TBI quite much as I should, because my TBI doesn't affect me. And brain injuries will be brain injuries. Cerebral palsy has a lack of oxygen at birth. So on top of cerebral palsy, I have a TBI. Don't know how I got that. Don't want to know how I got that. But yeah. So imagine your mom and you're lying in the hospital, but because you're trying to recover from pneumonia after having a C-section, and your daughter's ripped away from you because your daughter's now medically complex. And so I was lucky in the sense that I got diagnosed at a fairly young age as a baby, because a lot of kids don't get diagnosed until they don't meet their milestones. And of course, the parents send them to school and they don't meet their milestones. And of course, the teachers don't know how to deal with them. So getting back to your original question, my mom would get up every single day. And she even did this even when she had a brain aneurysm. Thank you very much. I don't know why. She was trying to be a lobby even when she was deathly ill and had a brain aneurysm. But my mom would get up every single day and get me dressed, get me ready for school, and make me watch the news, just so I wasn't dumb and knew what was going on news-wise. And then my aide would come and get me. Aides would come and get me. We would go to school. I would go to school. I had aid support through my family because I was very blessed to go to a private school and have teachers that were trained in disabilities before they met me. So they pretty much knew, once I came walking through the door, they pretty much knew that I had CP in it. My mom would meet with teachers and my dad would meet with teachers and say, look, our daughter has cerebral palsy. What are we going to do? How are we going to educate her? And I didn't get individualized education plan until I was in high school. I didn't even know what a special ed classroom was until I was in high school, because I was mainstream, very lucky to be mainstream, and very lucky to go to a private school without a scholarship. And my dad was an entrepreneur. That's where I get my entrepreneurial spirit. And my dad worked on the road doing sound mixing, and then he opened up his own home entertainment company without social media, without Facebook, without anything. He barely took an ad out in the yellow painter. So, and at one point in a small town of Aspen, Colorado, he was the only one doing it. And then when the other competition came in, he trained the other competition on how to do it. So, and he ended up closing Aspen on the OE in 2010 after my mom died. I'm very proud of him. And since then, we have lost him. We lost him in 2019. And so basically, I had the childhood of all childhood. I didn't even know I had a disability until I was in seventh grade. I figured it out when I was on the city soccer team, though. How I figured it out was I was watching all my friends kick the soccer ball, and I was trying to kick the soccer ball. The soccer ball goes sideways. I almost fall over because I'm trying to keep myself up. And typically, when you watch the able-bodied kids, I was the smart kid that watched the able-bodied kids do it too. So typically, I was like, well, my friends are not falling over when the soccer ball goes sideways, and the soccer ball keeps going straight when they kick it. And this is in second grade. And so I knew in my heart that something was wrong with me. And so, but it wasn't until seventh grade that I learned the call letters for cerebral palsy, what is known as cerebral palsy. And I knew that as CP, bless her heart, my mom drove me to school that morning. That's the time I got rid of my age, which, by the way, when you're in private school settings, they expect the families to pay the aids, unlike public school, where the aids are provided, the IEPs are provided. Now, they expect you to shell out the dollars for the one-on-one aids and / the tuition for the school. So we got rid of the aids that year. 7th and 8th grade, I had no aids. And my mom thought I was ready to do it on my own, which I was. But my mom failed to tell me that I had cerebral palsy. And so she drives me to school one day, and she stops at the top of the driveway of my private school, and she looks at me straight in the face, and she goes, Wynne, you have a disability called CP. It's going to impact you for the rest of your life. Now, she drives forward into the parking lot, and the next thing she goes to me, you have a great day, I'll see you later. And I'm like, God love her. I'm like, Mom, just impacted my life. And you're like, now get out of the car, go to school, and go hang out with your friends. And I'm like, I love you, Mom, but don't pull that stuff onto your kid. And so all the damn stuff that you don't want to have a serious conversation with your kid. Take them out of school or take them out to ice cream before you have a serious conversation. Don't do it at the top of the driveway, especially at the driveway where your school parking lot begins. Thank you very much. And so that's how my mom presented it to me. And I'm like, I love you, Mom, but that way of presenting it to me. And I was a curious kid. I knew that something was wrong with me. And people will tell you I tried to speak even in preschool, even when I couldn't speak. And so, yeah. But that's the short version. Hence, longer version. When I had to do my own research I had to Google what CP stood for and what CP actually was. So I was in Googling in high school, what is CP? And then Google pops up. Before AI, mind you, this was normal Google, and this was in about 2002. And so I Googled what is CP, and it pops up the words cerebral palsy, and it pops up 80,000 babies are diagnosed with it, 80,000 babies born with it, and the national color is green, and CP is umbrella term. It could affect you in totally different ways. 80,000 babies are born with it, and so I'm like, oh boy, here's the complexities. But all I knew is I had CP. Moving on, And then I get fast forward to 2010. I lose my mom. I start the podcast because I'm like, I want to write a book. How the heck am I going to write a book? And the purple button up on my iPhone was the answer to my plans of writing a book. And so I typed in writing book to the purple button on my iPhone. And it was iTunes at the time. And purple button happened to be purple happens to be my favorite color. So I wanted to make the purple button dance. And so what did I do? Tap on the purple button. And of course, there wasn't nothing in the purple button. It is up to iPhone magnified glass, which is the search button. And I tapped on the little search button, typed it in, right. And then I listened to a podcast, which is still in existence today. It's called The Creative Pen, P-E-N, by Joanna Penn. And she's a world-renowned best-selling author and self-published, too. And so one of the things she said was, now she taught me how to write a book, self-publish a book, and then market the book. And one of the things she said was you're going to have market the book. And I was very lucky. I built a fan base as I was writing the book. Not only my friends and family were going to buy the book. And then I took a leadership course on how to be a better person with a disability. Well, they made me do a vision board. And this was right after my mom died. And I said, I want to write a book. So 11 people were looking at me like I was nuts. You want to write a book after your mom dies? Really? My dad looked at me as if I went to the assignment. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I was going to figure out a way. So I got my iPhone out and started using speech dictation, artificial intelligence, Siri, and then I published that book a year later, and everyone was so shocked and proud that I published the book. They stuck to my gut. Give me a challenge, I take it head on. And so I decided to make the public button Apple iTunes dance again and typed it in Cerebral Palsy. Well, when I typed it in Cerebral Palsy, crickets came up, nothing, as was Cerebral Palsy. And then I said, this is only my niche. Well, I can talk for hours and hours alone, but I wanted to give people hope. So I started interviewing people day one on my podcast, and that was in 2011, after the book came out in October, and I have been known to be on writing podcasts, and so I've been doing that since 2011, maybe a little bit before that, and yeah.
Wow. So that's like the podcast booming, right around that point, right? Because obviously podcasting, no one seems to remember that the reason why it was called a podcast was because you could get it on an iPod. That's why it was called a podcast in the beginning. Yeah, because it was 2004. And when the iPod came out, it was the idea that, oh, well, look, there's this iPod. So let's put something together. So iPod, cast, podcast. So that's how it all started. And we're still calling it a podcast, which means we're still like giving Apple credit for all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. I don't have a problem with it because they were the first ones to come up with a device that was able to store these audio files where you can listen to them later. They were basically the first.
Yeah.
One. So first of all, I have to tell you, it sounds like you had two of the very best parents. Like,
yeah, I did.
The ability, the fact that your parents went about it this way, where you didn't even know that you had a disability until middle school. I think that's fantastic. I mean, I'm not in that space, but I can imagine how much more confidence you had at that point. And it's funny. You make it sound funny, but it is actually brilliant the way your mom told you.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I didn't even know what the name was until 2019, and how it impacted me, until asking my dad. Quite frankly, I didn't even find out the huge piece of photo until 2019, only because I got emotionally and physically abused by my mom's sister. Thank you very much. And then I only got emotionally and physically abused, and so I had to do more research on my own disability and why I needed help trailing getting good.
Wow. How did you come into contact with your mom's sister?
Oh, my mom's sister was in my life when my mom died in 2010. By the way, my mom got diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, and they caught it by aneurysm. She picks up an infection in the hospital, died from an infection because her body was so weak. But oh no, she was functioning right up the quantum, the brain aneurysm. And for those of you that don't know what a brain aneurysm is, it's a blood vessel that bursts in the brain, and you can get splitting headaches and be light sensitive and be nauseous and feel terrible. And a lot of doctors don't know how to catch it because they said it's the flu. And I have spoken about this. I'm about to interview a brain aneurysm survivor, another one, and I interviewed a husband of a person who lost her life to a brain aneurysm. She was a news reporter in New York, and if you look up Lisa Calligossi Foundation, they do brain aneurysm awareness. And I have asked her husband twice. I said, "Why didn't doctors catch my mom's brain aneurysm?" He goes, "Wynne," and this is, we call it publicly, and he goes, "Wynne, doctors are not trained in brain aneurysms. They are barely trained in the flu, let alone brain aneurysm."
Wow. So you go ahead and you write this book in 2011. You start a podcast in 2012.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And I think it's amazing because because you said you're what, 36 now?
36 going on 37.
So 36. So you were 22. 22,
23 when my mom died.
Yeah.
24 by the time I published the book.
And you at 24. That's crazy. 24 years old. You published the book. And then you start a podcast during pretty much when podcasts started to get more popular. People started understanding what podcasts were at that point.
Yep.
Not everybody. You still, in 2012, you can still walk down the street and go, hey, I listened to this podcast. Did you? And they're like, what's a podcast? At that point. Now it's a household definition. Oh, that's crazy. So all right, let's jump into the elephant in the room. When did you decide that you were going to when did you get into triathlon, and when did you decide you were going to do combat?
Okay, let's jump into the elephant in the room. But bread and butter here that he's so excited to talk about.
Yes.
And yes, just to let you know, triathletes come to Colorado to train because of the altitude. So I had the advantage there because I live in Colorado. You'll see a lot of triathletes, primarily in Boulder, Colorado, not so much Aspen, but Boulder, Denver, you will see a lot of triathletes and a lot of coaches say, go to Colorado for a month and train. So my teammate decides to say, I have a surprise for you. I'm sitting at my desk. And now this is after my mom died. And my teammate goes, she calls me. My dad picks up the phone. And she goes, can I speak to Wynne? So the next night, my intercom system is going off, saying BA wants Baba and BA wants to speak to you. And BA says, I have a surprise for you. And I'm just so the kid that says, don't surprise me. Cut directly to the chase. My mom had just died. Your aunt had just died. So this better not be having to do with your aunt's death, and this better not having to be doing with your aunt's death. It better be a bit of spice. But I didn't know what the spice was. And you gotta remember that I was in physical shape at the time to do Kona, let alone any triathlon. I mean, I had lost weight. I mean, if you look at me now, I'm doing a lot better, but I was skin and bones because I was grieving the loss of my mom. And so it's like, okay, how the heck am I supposed to do the surprise? And I'm putting surprise in their quotes here, but your audio listeners can't see that. And so she goes, I have a surprise for you. I'm like, cut to the chase and don't leave it. And I have a surprise for you. And she goes, I want to do the Kona Ironman again myself, but I need you to help because the only way we can get in is under the Ironman Foundation. The Ironman Foundation is no longer in existence. When I go back to Kona, which again, I'm going back to Kona, I'm doing it a totally different way. We're in the process of talking to Ironman about me doing it a totally different way. It's a similar way that I did it last time. And so I said, okay, let me think about this. And I got off the phone and said, I thought in my mind, how the hell am I supposed to do a Kona triathlon if I'm not in physical shape? Let alone my mom had just said, how the heck am I supposed to do this? And you'll probably tell your clients this. You don't decide one day on the couch, I'm going to do a triathlon. And you don't decide the day in your office that I'm going to do a triathlon either. You have to train like a man or woman and that's why we have people like Brad, who's an endurance coach, to gain the strength. And so I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? And so I get a personal trainer. She works with me. My teammate is across the country in the Bahamas training. And then we end up doing a year of triathlons leading up to Kona. We finally get to Kona. My teammate goes in the middle of Kona. And for those of you who watch Kona, they aired on NBC Sports and when it's aired. And so for those of you who watch Kona, you know the hobby Kona, and you know where they take off. You know, they do the swim, bike, and run. They do the swim in the open waters. So basically how I do it is someone puts me in a boat or kayak and they swim underneath me. We do the swim that way. We do the bike. I'm hooked up to the back of a bike, which the last time I did it, I was in the trailer, adult-sized trailer, which was a little bit easier than when I did the Kona Ironman. And then how we do the run is they push me in a wheelchair. Their wheelchair's designed for running, and they push me in a wheelchair. So in the middle of the Kona Ironman, my teammate goes, this is hard because she's now pulling me.
Yeah, with a lot more resistance.
And so of course, they take us off the bike course because you have to make the bike and the swim and the run in a certain amount of time. And of course,
right,
the run is at the end. It's not in the middle. And so they take it off the bike course and she goes, this is fun. We go to the award ceremony, and my aide looks at me, who was traveling with me at the time. I took a very good friend of mine to travel, who's also athletic, but my aide goes, well, who did Barbara Ann make it in her age class and win the Kona Ironman originally? I don't know, but she did, and now she was trying to use me to win her age class again. We finally figured that one out, my aide and I. all I wanted after the Kona Ironman was waffles, which my teammate, my cousin, which I will never do again, who was a family member, my cousin goes, you can't have those waffles, which way is the Ironman? And I'm sitting at the Four Seasons Hotel in Kona, Hawaii, and all I want is waffles. And so the next day, after the Kona Ironman, when my teammate is so discouraged, my aide secretly goes to Wynne. It's an inside joke now. Do you want waffles? And I said, yes. And she gets me a huge plate of waffles. My teammate is sitting at the table, gets looks at me like, oh boy, there goes the luck. Which he sell a whole plate of waffles. And mind you, they were very good. And so, of course, my teammate decides to get mad at my aide for posting. Of course, we had a Facebook page at the time, and my aide posts, well, Team Wynne had a defeat, and Team Wynne didn't make it, and my teammate got so mad at my aide that it was a whole big show, and so I decided, well, if I ever get to do the Kona Ironman again, with all triathlons, I would never take a family member to do the Kona Ironman, let alone any triathlon. So, in the meantime, I meet a triathlete team called Be Tri for Us. They're based in Sarasota, Florida. They have always been based in Sarasota, Florida. And what Be Tri for Us does is they put people in boats. They put people on back of bikes. They put people in chairs. And so in December of 2023, the team Be Tri for Us follows me on Instagram. I didn't even know they were following me. And they said, hey, Wynne, you remember who we are, right? And I got a DM from Stephanie, who's the head of Be Tri for Us. And she goes, you still want to do a triathlon, don't you? And I've been following your move to say that Arizona, and I'm impressed. And here we go. We're going to find you a triathlete buddy to do. And this was you. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And so they found a triathlete buddy because one of their newborn members, all he wanted to do was long-distance triathlete and long-distance triathlon. And most of the kids they work with don't have the capacity to do long-distance triathlon. Only one person on the team has capacity to do long-distance triathlon. They're used to doing sprint triathlons and short-distance triathlons. And so I'm like, okay. So Be Tri for Us, I'm in Arizona. And so Steph goes, okay, we're going to try this. And in December 2023, I take my aide. We do Clash Daytona at Daytona Beach.
Wow.
The Daytona Speedway. That was so cool. And I still have pictures of it on my phone. And of course, you know that you have to get stupid up early to get to the swim store. And I had almost professional triathlete do it with me. We crossed the finish line, and then on fortunately, I had to go to the airport to fly back, and so it was a super long day. But I will not do that again if I go to Kona, and that's how we're going to do Kona. I need to do a full triathlon with this person. Well, I know right now, as a matter of fact, I'm still in contact with the triathlon. Well, I know right now for me to do a full triathlon, and then Ironman knows that I'm bringing equipment, and Ironman is ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend, I have a good set of friends that they started a company called Best Damn Race back 10 years ago. So it called it Best Damn Race. His name is Nick Zivlich. Hopefully, hey, Nick, hopefully you're listening. And his significant other, Beth Shaw. I've known them both for years. And they helped with the events. They helped with the Crash Daytona. They helped with that so they were out there. So that's a really crazy coincidence. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That is unbelievable. And I hope that you're going to be able to get back to Kona because it's something else. But now they're flip-flopping it, right?
Yeah.
So
I did.
the men, they flip-flop between France and Kona. So 1 year that the guys will do Kona, the girls will do France.
Yeah.
I think that was last.
Yeah. My passport. And
Yeah.
France is actually on my bucket list. So if I do the Kona Ironman in France, oh my God, that's going to be so much fun. Because for those of you who ever been a spectator at any triathlon, the hype from the audience is just out of this world, especially at Kona.
So I've done 5, and you're absolutely right. When you get to the red carpet, it's incredible. Like I tell my clients, I'm like, at least your first one, when you get to the red carpet, you need to make sure you're alone. If somebody's in front of you, pass them. Either pass them or slow down, because when you cross that finish line, you want that finish line to yourself. Not only for the picture in the video, but because of the cheering that's going on. You want to make sure that cheering is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
especially the first one.
Exactly. Put it in my element.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. I really hope that you get to do that. That'll be amazing. And I watch it. I watch it every year, but unfortunately, they don't process the age group. Most of the time, it's pro, and then they'll let it go, but they'll turn off the sound and they'll just let it go. So last year, I think was the last year. Yeah, last year I think was the last year that it was the Iron Nun. Last year was the last year that she did it, and she's like 92.
Yeah, we have some pretty inspirational triathletes out there. Those inspirational athletes, if you guys look up Team Plate.
Yeah, Rob Wade, yeah.
Wynne is based off Team Plate. And if you look up, what's the other one? Ansley's Angels.
Ansley's Angels, yeah.
Ansley's Angels. They don't do triathlon so much as Team White did, I should say. I almost had the opportunity to meet Team White in Kona, but I missed that. They were doing a press event in Kona when we were there. And then, unfortunately, Dick died, and then Vic died of complications from cerebral palsy, his lungs. But Vic and Dick were older to begin with. And so, but Dick started all this when Vic was young, and Vic you'll find out that people with CT are adrenaline junkies. So, Vic loved it, and they did the Boston Marathon, and when the Boston bombing went off, they were in the middle of the Boston Marathon, and Dick said, we're not doing this anymore. They kept doing, so he reevaluated what he was doing with his son. Of course, the son, who was non-verbal, loved it so much he wanted to do it even more. So unfortunately, those two great legends had passed away. And if you also look up Walk with KPZ, Walk with KPZ is Wynne and Kyle Pease, and they're still doing it. The boys won the Kona Ironman. Kyle has cerebral palsy. I fortunately met Kyle, and he's a Spitfire in his own right, and went, and Kyle has a foundation based in Atlanta. I went down there. We went down there to do a race with them, and of course, the boys were looking at the gold. BA was looking at Brent. I was looking at Kyle, and someone took a picture of that. I'm like, well, that should, sorry. And so,
That's
yeah,
great.
we had fun with that. And so, when Kyle Pease do, I believe they're still doing, I have to double check, Glenn and the Kyle Pease do a road race in Atlanta. They gather all the teams, and I fly in as the honorary member of Walk with KP. And so, but Walk with KP is marathons, and they didn't sell
Road races.
Did Kona Ironman. They didn't bring the whole entourage with them, and their families involved. And so, yeah, those are a couple of legends that you guys need to look up.
Definitely. And I'm gonna post those links in the show notes so you'll be able to see that. So let's step back a minute. What keeps you going, Wynne? I mean, I know that you had an incredible childhood growing up, and you had obviously some issues after your mom died, but you got over it, obviously. But with somebody that, and I'm looking forward to, as far as other people go, giving them some sort of inspiration. What keeps you going?
I don't know. And people have been asking me that a lot lately. And after 5 hour back surgery, that's the only time people will see me grumpy, because I'm having back surgery in a week. And a little over a week, I'm going to be my back done again. That's a long story. So that has something to do with CP. But I guess I have the winning spirit, and I'm here to show people that they can live the best life possible despite their own disabilities.
Yeah. And I see that. And look at, people, you got to, if you're not watching the video, it's on YouTube, and I have the YouTube channel is in the show notes. But if you just see Wynne smiling, it's an incredible thing that you see. It lights up your friggin' life when you see her. She's amazing. So if you only just watch a piece of this, go on to the YouTube and check out the video. But that's amazing. So you've written I Win, and which is obviously what that is. That's more of a biography.
Yes, and I've written a couple other books, a novel entitled The View from My Hills, as in a high yield shoe, which is about a fashion designer. It's a fictional novel about a fashion designer with a disability, and so that's out there. And then I'm working on my 13th book, my 14th book, and my 15th book. The 13th book is going to be about podcasting, how to do broadcasting, and my sympathetic as a woman with a disability on that. And then the 14th book is going to be another novel, and then the 15th book is going to be a surprise book that no one knows about other than a couple people. And so it's going to shock people, because this is way out of my comfort zone, be writing 15 books. But I was told to do this in 2010. The person that told me to do this in 2010 was actually my mom while she was dying. And she said, you need to be in a safe place to do this, and to write this 15th book, I'm going to start you off easy with I Come a Win. So you can write I Come a Win in your sleep, basically. And so then I want you to write another book, but it's not going to be I Come a Win. It's going to be a totally different book. And it's going to be a little bit out of your comfort zone. And now that I'm in a safe space to write and live my life, because she knew that her sister was abusing me. She had eyes in the back of her head, and she asked when she woke up from brain surgery of all things, the first words out of her mouth were not naming the people in love. Nope. Who's taking care of Wynne? This was after 6-hour brain surgery. Yes. And I wasn't there. I was in Aspen, and I had a commitment that week, but I wasn't there. And so the fact that she goes, who's thinking of Wynne? That's the first words out of her mouth. She didn't even name people on the list. And I'm like, okay. And dedicated Bob right there. When you just wake up from brain surgery, you're asking about your child, and she knew I was there and in Aspen, but she also knew I would still come down. And as I said, she picked up an infection in the hospital. So when you walk, well, now, and if you walk into the hospital with masks, but when you walk into the hospital, be careful who you're around, because when you ever walk into the ER yourself being sick and yourself, you don't know who's going to pick up your infection next. And I don't, operating rooms or still in the violence, I don't know whether she picks it up in the ICU or whether she picks it up from the operating room going to the ICU, or whether she picks it up getting off of fight for life going into the ER in Denver. I don't know, but infections lay dormant, so do brain aneurysms. So I don't know, it's a combination. And so my poor mom, she died of an infection in the body, was so weak to not only tackle the brain aneurysm healing, but the body was so weak that it couldn't tackle fighting the infection loss.
Yeah, it's something that we definitely need to be careful of. And I think it's great advice that, like you said, if you're going in for a long stay into the hospital, you need to be very careful who you're around. So it's amazing. You went through the death of your mom, the death of your dad, being abused by your aunt, and still turned out to a point where you're just about to publish 14 and 15 books, and you've been through Ironman, Kona, and Clash, and you speak around the country. It's just an amazing thing that you don't let anything stop you. So, ladies and gentlemen, here this woman has put out 15 books. She has cerebral palsy. So if you ever had an inclination of doing anything like that, here's your example, right? Here's your example. It's all about determination, and Wynne's got it all for all of us. So if you want to do something, go do it. Don't let anything stop you. Wynne didn't. So anyway, that's my soapbox. So let's just real quick before we end, would you tell me what a typical day for you is now? I see that it looks like you have a beautiful home, from what I can tell. Do you still have? Yeah.
Behind me, and the reason why I'm sitting in a loud is because I'm in a condo I'm in a condo complex that's the first of its kind in the country. And if you go Lulu Azul and Lulu and Titan Peanut Tails, you'll see my house and the concept behind it. And the concept behind it is the developer has a child with a disability, a rare disability, And he said, well, where's my child going to live when I die? Basically, he scoured across the country, and he took all his funding with other partners from his law firm, and he scoured across the country before coming up with this project with his own. And so then he opened that up to the public, not only his daughter's disability, but he opened that up to the disabled population. I found out about it via Google within 24 hours. I was in Aspen at the time. I was buying a house in Phoenix, Arizona via FaceTime, and I know that's a little bit nuts, but that's how we did it. And I moved down here in March of 2022 and 2021. Sorry, I was down here in 2022. And so March of 2022, I packed my own van. I had a handicapped accessible van. I packed it with a duffel bag, my wheelchair, and assistant that I barely knew. We took the drive to 10-hour drive to Phoenix, Arizona, and Phoenix, Arizona has been my forever home, will continue to be my forever home. Now, hence, I'm barely home these days too, because I have to, due to my own disability, I have to take public transportation, even though I have my own vehicle, and because car insurance is way too expensive down there, and so it's ridiculous. So my team has kindly suggested that I put my vehicle on unlimited use and only have 7 people drive it, which is okay. We have public transportation, but I'm usually up by 5:45 on Monday morning to get myself to PT because of public transportation. I have weight on it, and then I come home, do work, and then I make myself take a lunch break down at my clubhouse at noon, where I get to hang out with all my friends, next door neighbors, and who's ever in the clubhouse. And then I go back to work, or go off to doctor's appointments, and go off to whatever I need to do.
Oh, it sounds like a great life. When you mentioned team, do you still have aides that help you out?
I do. I have aides that come in the morning and aides that come in the afternoon. I also have people that help me behind the scenes. And so because bass is not my strong point, I have got a financial advisor and a lawyer and medical professionals that help me behind the scenes. And so, yeah, I have help. I have help when I need it. And unfortunately, I will need more help after my back surgery, which Wynne is not used to asking for help. Wynne is not used to pushing the morphine buttons and asking for help. So in first goal, but now to get used to asking for help, but that's only because of my dad. When I will be back up on my feet, slowly but surely, and then I'll quit asking for help and be in bed again.
I have no doubt in the world that you will come out of this stronger and better. If there's anybody in the world that's gonna survive this back surgery and come out stronger, it's you, Wynne. No question. So, but I really hope that you're able to come through it with as little pain as possible. And that's probably going to be some of this. I'm not going to ask you about what it is.
That public knowledge. Public knowledge. I'll go into it briefly. I'll give you the synopsis. Basically, I had what they now call a failed back surgery due to CP. I don't know how it failed. And for 16 years, no one told me. By the time I got, and I made a promise to myself because my back felt weird, and my back felt weird as I was doing Kona, believe it or not. And as I was doing all this triathlon stuff, I felt my back felt swollen and abnormal. So I made a promise to myself when I got down here, when I got to a bigger city with better medical care, I made a promise to myself the first surgery I was having done in that big city, wherever that big city was supposed to be, or wherever Florida, then it ended up being Phoenix, Arizona. But I made a commitment to myself that I was going to take care of myself because I had lost my dad and he did with what to take care of himself. And so by the time he died, it was 6 days after the diagnosis. So I went and got a scoliosis check. They go, you are fine. You have scoliosis. We can't fix that now. Go away. I said, no, I'm not fine. Something is wrong with my back. And I want to go get x-rays. And I had a medical liaison there with me at that original appointment. And then they go, fine, we'll give you the orders to go get x-rays. I go get x-rays. By the time the doctors look at them, they go, oops, something is wrong. And like I told you guys, my back is swollen and it's not normal. And what really happened is the bottom of my spinal fusion had completely failed. I have a screw that's attached to my bone, and it's a mess. My neck is a mess. And so they said, well, we'll give you back injections. And I said, I can try back injections, see how it helps. The back injections did not help. And so my next bet is surgery, and that's going to be happening April 27th. But always be a medical advocate, or they say, bring someone with you, but don't trust these doctors. When you know something is wrong, especially if you're training for Kona Ironman, always trust your body. You know your body well. And even if you feel little twinges of pain in your legs, even if you're running a mile to train for Kona Ironman or train for any marathon or triathlon, and you feel little twinges of pain, and the twinge of pain gets worse until you can't walk, get it checked out.
Yes, definitely. That truer words were never said. We in the triathlon community, some of the coaches, we always have this saying, trust yourself, trust your body, and listen to it. Listen to your body, and when it's saying that something's wrong, figure out, get it checked out, whether it be by your personal care physician or chiropractor or orthopedic surgeon, neurosurgeon, whoever you're being seen by, just get it checked out. So whatever you're doing, you don't end up making it permanent. Let's make sure that it's temporary, you fix it, and you're out. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Wow. Wynne, I am so honored that you joined us today. I am going to make sure that all of your books will be linked in the show notes. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I'll go to my website. It's ceodisability.weebelize.com, and you can find my information there. You can also find my assistant's books, who happens to be my BFF. She took after my lead to write a book on her own, and she's got all stuff going, and she's a disabled athlete, not a triathlete by any means, but she's a disabled athlete.
Athletes and athletes, yeah.
At the Special Olympics. So you can go to my website, ceodisability.weebelize.com, or my podcast could be found anywhere and everywhere except for Google, because Google's no longer in existence. Right. Also, to the Android users that need to find new all to listen to podcasts on their Androids, because Google never necessarily got up speed. Apple actually got up speed, and there's a lot of podcasts out there for Androids, but it can be found on smart speakers. It can be found anywhere. And so, yeah.
Right. And her is called CEO Disability.
Yeah.
Conversations about disability, awesomeness, and awareness.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to find that anywhere you can get your podcasts.
Yep.
So most people on Android listen to it on Spotify. So,
yeah. Well,
and so you'll catch it there on Spotify.
Sure, now that Google Podcasts has gone out the door. But I need
yeah.
Sure. And thank you, Glenn, for the heads up on that. So now I have to tell my listeners to go over to Spotify and subscribe over there. Follow, not subscribe, follow. It's follow on Apple Podcasts. It's follow on Spotify. Oh, and do me one more favor. Please rate and review the Life Challenges podcast. All it does is help the Apple algorithms, the algorithms be happy. And so please rate and review Brad's podcast, because as an independent podcaster, he puts a lot of work into this. I know it because I do a podcast myself, as you guys just heard. So please rate and review every podcast that you see fit, even if it's not ours, even if it's not Brad's or mine. Just support the independent podcasters and just support everyone. And let's make this world a better place and be kinder to humans.
Excellent. That's a great note to say goodbye on. So thank you again, Wynne. It has been an honor. It has been a pleasure. And I have a feeling that we will be having some more conversations in the future, because so much stuff going on. So we will have Wynne on again somewhere in the future. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. Like she said, follow, rate, even if you don't like it, rate it bad. But and that's fine too. I appreciate it if you didn't, but if you don't find this as entertaining as we do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But either way, we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Wynne, and we will see you in the next episode.